For decades, Target has held a unique position in the hearts of American consumers. The retail giant was not just a utilitarian destination for shopping, but also a place where style, fun, and affordability converged. Target became a cultural phenomenon, transcending its status as a mere discount store. However, recent challenges have cast doubt on its future, as Target grapples with a shifting retail landscape, evolving consumer preferences, and internal missteps. Before we go on, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. It's one of the best ways you can support the channel and help others find this video. Founded in 1962, Target distinguished itself from competitors like Walmart and dollar stores by adopting an upmarket discount approach. Unlike Walmart, which stemmed from a general goods philosophy, Target's roots lay in department store retailing. It aimed at slightly higher income customers, blending affordability with style. Exclusive collaborations with high-end designers such as Michael Graves and Missoni cemented its reputation as a retailer offering sophisticated products at accessible prices. Shopping at Target was not merely a chore, it was an experience. Frequent rotations of unique products fostered a sense of discovery, while the availability of everyday essentials ensured convenience. For many, especially parents, a trip to Target became a cherished escape, embodying both utility and indulgence. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Target thrived. As consumers prioritized convenience and sought out essential goods, the retailer saw a surge in sales. However, the post-pandemic period brought unforeseen challenges. Target miscalculated inventory needs, stocking up on items that were in demand during the pandemic, but quickly lost appeal afterward. Adding to its woes, the company faced backlash over its annual Pride collection, alienating customers on both sides of the controversy. These missteps coincided with broader economic pressures such as inflation, which shifted consumer spending away from discretionary goods. Target's core offering toward necessities like food and healthcare. Beyond external challenges, Target has been plagued by operational issues. Shoppers have reported empty shelves, extended checkout lines, and the inconvenience of locked products due to anti-theft measures. These problems have eroded the fun shopping experience that once defined the brand. Many loyal customers now voice feelings of loss, likening the decline of Target's charm to growing apart from an old friend. The competitive landscape has further intensified. Retail giants like Walmart, Costco, and Amazon have continued to dominate, offering competitive pricing, extensive product ranges, and unparalleled convenience. While Walmart and Costco reported robust financial results, Target's performance has lagged. Its stock has plummeted by over 50% from its peak 3 years ago, with analysts questioning whether the company can maintain its foothold in the market. Despite its current struggles, Target's leadership remains optimistic. CEO Brian Cornell has emphasized a return to the company's strengths, offering distinctive, slightly upmarket products at affordable prices. Target has also begun lowering prices to compete more effectively. One potential avenue for growth lies in groceries. While Target has offered groceries for years, it has yet to fully commit to the category. Expanding its grocery footprint could provide a steady revenue stream, as consumers consistently prioritize food over discretionary purchases during economic downturns. However, increasing grocery offerings comes with trade-offs, such as lower profit margins and reduced shelf space for higher-margin goods. Target's challenges are not insurmountable, but they are significant. The retailer must strike a delicate balance between reclaiming its distinctiveness and adapting to new consumer realities. Whether through innovative product offerings, operational improvements, or a reimagined grocery strategy, Target's ability to evolve will determine its future. As history shows, even the most beloved retailers are not immune to decline. The recent setbacks have planted seeds of doubt among investors and customers alike. However, Target's legacy of resilience offers hope that it can navigate these turbulent times and emerge stronger. The fate of Target now rests on its ability to recapture the magic that once made it a retail icon while addressing the pressing demands of a new era. Spirit Airlines, once a disruptive force in the U.S. airline industry, carved a profitable niche as an ultra-low-cost carrier. Their strategy was simple: offer the absolute lowest fares, even if it meant sacrificing amenities and customer service. Spirit boasted that their tickets were significantly cheaper than competitors, and despite consistently ranking as one of the worst airlines in the US, millions of Americans were willing to endure the downsides for the substantial savings. For a time, this approach made Spirit incredibly profitable, even the most profitable airline in America at its peak. Their operating profit margin was remarkably high, a rare feat in the fiercely competitive airline industry. It seemed Spirit had found the perfect formula: rock-bottom service for rock-bottom prices. However, this success was not to last. Spirit's profitability plummeted and they began losing money. Facing mounting debts, the airline was forced to file for bankruptcy protection, casting serious doubt on its future. Before we go on, please hit the like button and subscribe. This is the best way to support the channel and help others find this video. Spirit's competitive advantage stemmed from its ability to operate flights at a very low cost, passing the savings on to consumers. A key metric for airlines is cost per available seat mile (CASM), which represents the cost to fly one passenger 1 mile. Spirit's CASM was significantly lower than the big three legacy airlines, American, Delta, and United, allowing them to offer much cheaper fares. Several factors contributed to Spirit's low operating costs. They configured their planes with significantly smaller seats and no first-class or business-class sections, maximizing the number of seats per plane. This increased seating capacity directly lowered their CASM. Furthermore, Spirit operated a single family of aircraft, the Airbus A320 family. This streamlined maintenance and logistics, reducing costs associated with managing a diverse fleet. Spirit also focused on high-traffic routes connecting major U.S. cities with popular tourist destinations, enabling high utilization of their aircraft. Spirit's cost-cutting measures extended to their corporate culture. They minimized corporate staff, often to an extreme degree, demonstrating an intense focus on cost reduction throughout the organization. While this penny-pinching mentality contributed to their low costs, it also had consequences. Their lean staffing often resulted in operational challenges, leading to poor on-time performance and strained customer service. Spirit consistently ranked poorly in on-time performance among U.S. airlines. Beyond operational issues, Spirit's business model also drew criticism. They pioneered the bare fare concept, where the initial ticket price covered only the bare minimum of transportation. Everything else, from checked bags and carry-on bags to seat selection and even beverages, incurred additional fees. This unbundling strategy allowed Spirit to advertise incredibly low fares, but often led to customer frustration when unexpected charges piled up. Ancillary sales like baggage fees became a significant revenue stream, often exceeding the revenue generated by the base fare itself. Despite their reputation for poor service and extra fees, Spirit's low fares attracted a significant customer base. Their market share steadily grew, and it appeared they had secured a profitable niche. However, this success was threatened by the rise of basic economy fares offered by the big three airlines. Prior to the pandemic, Spirit was consistently profitable and growing rapidly. The pandemic significantly disrupted air travel, impacting all airlines. While air traffic rebounded, Spirit struggled to regain its footing. Their revenue, while recovering, did not translate into profitability. The emergence of other low-cost carriers like Frontier and Allegiant also intensified competition. While Southwest operated a different model, they too competed for budget-conscious travelers. The Big Three, initially challenged by the growth of discounters, developed a strategy to compete: basic economy fares. Basic economy offered a lower fare class within the main cabin, but with restrictions like limited baggage options, random seat assignments, and last boarding privileges. This allowed the Big Three to compete on price with ultra-low-cost carriers like Spirit. In some cases, after adding Spirit's baggage fees, the total cost of a Spirit flight was comparable to, or even exceeded, the price of a basic economy ticket on a Big Three airline, which included a carry-on bag. This eroded Spirit's primary competitive advantage, price. While Spirit's operating costs remained lower than the big three, the legacy carriers had other revenue streams, most notably their loyalty programs. These programs generated substantial revenue through partnerships with credit card companies and retailers. Spirit attempted to replicate this success, but their loyalty program generated significantly less revenue, likely due to their customer base's focus on price and lower average incomes. A comparison of seat maps between Spirit and Delta further illustrates the challenges Spirit faced. While both airlines might fly the same aircraft, Delta configured its planes with fewer seats, including premium cabins like First Class and Comfort Plus. Despite having fewer passengers, Delta generated significantly more revenue per flight due to the higher fares for premium seats. This allowed Delta to subsidize its basic economy fares, making them competitive with Spirit's prices. Delta's premium passengers essentially supported the lower fares offered to basic economy passengers. Spirit, lacking this high-yield revenue stream, found it increasingly difficult to compete. After the pandemic, Spirit faced additional challenges. Rising fuel prices and a tight labor market increased their operating costs. They struggled to offset these increased costs with higher ticket prices. Their load factor also decreased, indicating difficulty in filling seats. Furthermore, Spirit faced unforeseen issues with their Airbus A321neo aircraft, whose engines required grounding for maintenance, further impacting their operations. Faced with a deteriorating competitive landscape, Spirit attempted to merge with JetBlue. JetBlue, while a larger airline than Spirit, operated a different business model focused on premium customers. JetBlue's primary interest in the merger was acquiring Spirit's fleet of aircraft to address their own growth constraints. However, the Department of Justice blocked the merger, arguing that it would reduce competition. The government believed that ultra-low-cost carriers like Spirit were essential for maintaining competitive fares. While this decision was intended to preserve competition, it may have inadvertently sealed Spirit's fate. The blocked merger deprived Spirit of a much-needed lifeline. Spirit's financial performance continued to decline, and they ultimately filed for bankruptcy protection. The government's decision to block the merger, intended to protect competition, may have ultimately led to the demise of Spirit as an independent entity. While Spirit continued to operate during bankruptcy proceedings, their long-term survival remained uncertain.
Starbucks, a global coffee giant, has faced turbulent times in recent years. The company, once hailed for its steady growth and innovation, has now cycled through 4 CEOs in under 4 years. It's also grappling with its steepest revenue decline in over a decade, not counting the effects of the pandemic. In this documentary, we'll explore Starbucks' remarkable rise to dominance, the internal challenges that have come with its success, and whether its complex orders and corporate instability might lead to yet another return of its iconic former leader, Howard Schultz. Before we go on, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It's one of the best ways you can support the channel and help others find this video. The journey of Starbucks begins in 1971, in the heart of Seattle. Back then, it wasn't a cafe but a simple store selling freshly roasted coffee beans. Seattle locals quickly embraced the high-quality beans, and even as coffee prices spiked in 1975, Starbucks managed to expand within the city. A key turning point came in 1981 when a curious visitor arrived at their Pike Place Market location, Howard Schultz. At the time, Schultz was the general manager for Starbucks' filter supplier. What struck him about Starbucks wasn't just their beans, but the rich, European-style coffee they were brewing, something quite different from the weak drip coffee that was the American standard. Schultz became fascinated with the business and joined Starbucks in 1982. A trip to Italy the following year inspired him to push Starbucks toward a bold new direction, offering coffee by the cup, just like the bustling espresso bars of Milan. Schultz envisioned Starbucks as a place where people could gather and enjoy their coffee in store. Despite initial resistance from the company's founders, who wanted to stick to selling beans, Schultz eventually persuaded them to open an espresso bar in 1984. It was an immediate success. However, as Schultz continued to advocate for a cafe-centered model, tensions with the founders grew. In 1985, Schultz left Starbucks to start his own coffee company, Il Giornale. By 1987, Il Giornale was doing so well that Schultz was able to buy out Starbucks, setting the stage for the rapid expansion that followed. Under Schultz's leadership, Starbucks grew exponentially. By 1990, there were 84 stores. 5 years later, that number had ballooned to 677. And by the turn of the millennium, Starbucks had over 3,500 locations around the globe. Schultz wasn't just known for expanding the brand, he also earned a reputation as a progressive leader. Advocating for fair wages and healthcare for employees, Schultz made Starbucks a model of socially responsible business. However, in 2000, Schultz stepped down as CEO, handing control to Orrin Smith, and later to Jim Donald. Donald's push for rapid global expansion proved ill-timed. Cheaper competitors like McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts gained ground, and by late 2007, as the financial crisis loomed, Starbucks stock had fallen by 50%. In 2008, Schultz returned to steer the company out of trouble. His focus was clear: Starbucks needed to reclaim its status as a premium brand. He slowed down the company's global expansion, shuttered underperforming stores, and concentrated on offering a high-quality experience that customers would be willing to pay for. The strategy worked. By the early 2010s, Starbucks was back on a growth trajectory, and by 2019, its market value had skyrocketed to nearly $100 billion, with over 37,000 stores worldwide. Despite this success, leadership changes continued. In 2017, Schultz stepped down once again, leaving the company in the hands of Kevin Johnson. Johnson's tenure saw a further push into China, but the COVID-19 pandemic and China's strict lockdowns brought new challenges. In 2022, Johnson abruptly resigned, and Schultz returned as interim CEO before handing the reins to Laxman Narasimhan in 2023. Narasimhan's leadership was short-lived, with the board replacing him with Brian Niccol, former CEO of Chipotle, after just a year. The question remains, what went wrong for Starbucks? Some of the blame falls on external factors like inflation, pushing consumers toward cheaper options, and competition from rising Chinese coffee chains like Luckin Coffee. Others point to political issues, such as an ongoing boycott by pro-Palestinian activists, though these factors are often overstated. Yet, one of the most significant issues Starbucks faces comes from within. The complexity of their menu has grown exponentially, with nearly 400 million possible variations of a Starbucks latte alone. While these customizations bring in additional revenue, they've also created operational challenges. Longer wait times and fewer interactions between baristas and customers have made it harder for Starbucks to maintain its premium image. The company has responded by encouraging mobile orders, but this has shifted the Starbucks experience from a cafe-style gathering place to more of a quick service model, with 3/4 of orders now made via drive-thru, mobile, or delivery. This shift has left Starbucks with expensive real estate that is increasingly underused. The challenge now for Niccol, or whoever might take over next, is to balance the need for operational efficiency with maintaining the brand's image as a premium in-store experience. As the company continues to evolve, one thing remains certain: the road ahead for Starbucks is as complex as its menu. And as history has shown, if things don't turn around soon, Howard Schultz could once again step out of the shadows to reclaim the helm. Nike, a powerhouse in the athletic footwear industry, has long dominated the market, commanding an impressive 38% share and consistently outpacing its rivals. However, the company finds itself in a precarious position, facing its worst performance since the late 1990s. With a notable decline in sales reported in the first quarter of this year, Nike has announced plans to lay off 2% of its workforce as part of an initiative to cut costs by $2 billion. As the landscape shifts, smaller brands are seizing opportunities, while long-standing competitors are witnessing a resurgence in sales, leaving Nike with an increasing stock of products sitting unsold on clearance racks. Before we go on, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It's one of the best ways you can support the channel and help others find this video. To understand the current state of Nike, it is essential to examine the pivotal factors that have contributed to its challenges. A significant management shakeup occurred in early 2020, signaling the end of an era under the leadership of veteran CEO Mark Parker, who had been with Nike since 1979. Parker's tenure was marked by substantial victories for the company. But when John Donahoe was appointed as the fourth CEO, a new chapter began. Donahoe's experience stemmed largely from the tech sector, offering a different perspective on business strategy. Along with a new management team, he played a key role in advancing Nike's consumer direct acceleration strategy, initiated in 2017. This shift emphasized direct-to-consumer (DTC) sales, altering Nike's long-standing business model. In 2019, Nike experienced remarkable growth in e-commerce, with its sneakers app doubling its monthly active users and accounting for approximately 20% of its digital sales. This strategic pivot positioned Nike favorably as the pandemic unfolded, pushing e-commerce to the forefront of many businesses' survival strategies. In response to these changing dynamics, Donahoe emphasized the importance of being digitally grounded. But the unfolding events of this year have revealed that an overly aggressive approach to DTC may not have been wise. Nike made substantial investments in enhancing its digital presence, developing global store concepts and mobile apps aimed at directing consumers to its DTC channels, where profit margins are higher. In 2019, Nike's wholesale revenue reached an astounding $25 billion, making the decision to reduce reliance on retail particularly bold. Initially, this shift appeared successful. Digital memberships grew to 160 million, and digital sales surged to 30% of total revenue, 3 years ahead of expectations. However, as pandemic restrictions eased, consumers flocked back to brick-and-mortar stores, disrupting Nike's direct sales momentum. Compounding these issues, Nike encountered significant supply chain challenges during the pandemic. By late 2022, the company faced an inventory surplus of nearly $9.7 billion, the highest level in its history, leading to a sharp 14% drop in share price. It became clear that Nike had overreached in its DTC ambitions, necessitating a re-evaluation of its strategy. The realization emerged that Nike required its wholesale partners to effectively reach consumers who could not be accessed through its channels alone. Consequently, Nike rekindled relationships with many of its wholesale partners, who welcomed the company back into the fold, but this reconciliation did not resolve all of its challenges. Despite retaining strong pricing power, Nike's market presence began to wane as it deprioritized lower-priced footwear during its aggressive DTC push. The company struggled to maintain the allure that once surrounded its products, and sales weakened amid shifting consumer preferences and rising competition. Retailers began discounting Nike sneakers at rates nearly double those from 2 years ago, raising concerns about the brand's vitality. Analysts noted that while Nike remains a significant player, it appears fatigued, leaning on established models instead of introducing fresh designs. Recognizing these trends, Nike has shifted its focus back to innovation, particularly in its foundational category of performance running shoes. The company's origins lie in the running shoe market, and failing to deliver groundbreaking innovations allowed competitors to encroach on Nike's market share. Although Nike has introduced some new products, brands such as Hoka and On Running are capturing consumer interest with their unique technologies and designs. While Nike's position in the athletic shoe market remains stable, its vulnerabilities lie within the lifestyle segment, where competitors like New Balance and Adidas are gaining traction. This awareness prompted Nike's leadership to emphasize the need for improved offerings. Under Donahoe's guidance, the company aims to leverage its storied history of innovation, having developed iconic technologies such as the Air Max Bubble and Flyknit. However, the lengthy product development cycles present a significant hurdle, making quick solutions elusive. Recently, Nike announced plans to launch a new lineup of footwear and apparel as part of a multi-year innovation initiative. This approach emphasizes the necessity for ongoing product releases to captivate consumers with performance, style, and comfort. Despite projections of only 1% revenue growth for fiscal 2024, Nike remains unparalleled in the footwear industry. During Donahoe's tenure, the company has witnessed a revenue increase of approximately 15% from 2021 to 2023. Nike's massive scale enables it to absorb challenges that could prove detrimental for smaller brands. The company's strategic maneuvering is evident in its recent endorsement deals, including securing a partnership with Caitlin Clark after parting ways with Tiger Woods, a collaboration that lasted over 27 years. Nike also signed a kit partnership with the German national soccer team, ending a long-standing relationship with Adidas. While Nike has encountered difficulties in recent years, many experts maintain their faith in the brand's potential for recovery. The upcoming Olympics could serve as a catalyst for growth, providing opportunities for new product launches and enhanced visibility. Despite the obstacles ahead, Nike's legacy of innovation and market dominance positions it well to navigate these turbulent waters and emerge revitalized.
For decades, Forever 21 was the go-to destination for trendy, affordable fashion. With its massive stores, ever-changing inventory, and unbeatable prices, the brand became a household name for young shoppers worldwide. At its peak, Forever 21 was pulling in billions of dollars, operating in over 50 countries and opening flagship stores that rivaled luxury brands in scale. But in 2019, the unthinkable happened. Forever 21 filed for bankruptcy. What went wrong? How did a brand that once seemed invincible fall so hard, so fast? This is the story of Forever 21's decline, and the crucial lessons businesses can learn from its mistakes. Before we go on, please hit the like button and subscribe. This is the best way to support the channel and help others find this video. Forever 21 began in 1984 when Du Won Chung and his wife, Jin Suk, opened a small store in Los Angeles called Fashion 21. They recognized an untapped market, young shoppers looking for trendy styles at rock-bottom prices. Their business model was simple yet revolutionary. Copy high fashion designs, produce them quickly, and sell them at a fraction of the cost. The strategy worked. By the early 2000s, Forever 21 was expanding aggressively, opening massive stores across the US and internationally. It became synonymous with fast fashion, competing with brands like H&M and Zara. With its rapid inventory turnover, shoppers were encouraged to buy frequently, and sales skyrocketed. But beneath the surface, problems were brewing. One of the key factors behind Forever 21's downfall was its overly ambitious expansion. The company aggressively opened stores worldwide, many of which were enormous, spanning tens of thousands of square feet. These flagship locations, including a massive Times Square store in New York, were costly to maintain and required high sales volume to stay profitable. Unfortunately, the company overestimated demand. Many of these locations underperformed, and the costs of rent, maintenance, and operations began eating into profits. Unlike competitors who focused on e-commerce growth, Forever 21 doubled down on physical stores, a move that would prove disastrous in the changing retail landscape. By the 2010s, online shopping had begun dominating retail, with brands like ASOS, Fashion Nova, and Shine leading the way. Yet, Forever 21 was slow to adapt. While competitors optimized their websites, improved customer experience, and leveraged social media marketing, Forever 21 lagged behind. Its online presence was clunky, outdated, and lacked the personalized shopping experience that digital-savvy consumers demanded. Moreover, it failed to engage influencers effectively, a crucial mistake in an era where Instagram and TikTok were shaping fashion trends. Forever 21's fast fashion model relied on cutting corners to keep prices low. As a result, many customers began noticing declining product quality. Cheap fabrics, poor stitching, and inconsistent sizing led to customer dissatisfaction. With the rise of customer review culture, negative feedback spread quickly, damaging the brand's reputation. Additionally, Forever 21 faced numerous legal battles. The company was repeatedly sued by major designers, including Adidas and Gucci, for copying designs. These lawsuits not only cost millions in settlements, but also tarnished the brand's credibility. Consumers who once saw Forever 21 as an affordable alternative to designer fashion began associating it with plagiarism and poor ethics. One of the biggest shifts in fashion retail was the growing awareness of sustainability. Consumers, particularly younger shoppers, became more conscious of the environmental impact of fast fashion. Brands like Everlane and Reformation gained popularity by promoting ethical production and sustainability, while resale platforms like Depop and ThredUp encouraged secondhand shopping. Forever 21, on the other hand, remained committed to mass production and disposable fashion. As sustainability became a core concern for consumers, the brand struggled to remain relevant. By the late 2000s and 10s, Forever 21 was drowning in debt. Sales had plummeted, and its massive stores were turning into liabilities rather than assets. In 2019, the company officially filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, announcing the closure of over 350 stores worldwide. While Forever 21 managed to restructure and continue operations, the damage had been done. The once dominant retailer had lost its grip on the fast fashion industry, replaced by more agile, digital-first competitors. Despite its struggles, Forever 21 still exists today under new ownership. The brand is attempting a comeback with a renewed focus on e-commerce and influencer collaborations. However, competition is fierce, and the fashion industry has evolved significantly. Only time will tell whether Forever 21 can reclaim its former glory. But its story serves as a powerful reminder. No matter how big a company gets, failing to evolve with the times can lead to a dramatic downfall. For over half a century, Red Lobster was synonymous with seafood dining in America. With its signature Cheddar Bay biscuits and endless shrimp promotions, the brand carved out a place in the casual dining industry. However, despite its once thriving presence, Red Lobster has recently filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, marking the end of an era. This video delves into the factors behind Red Lobster's meteoric rise, strategic missteps, and ultimate downfall. Before we go on, please hit the like button and subscribe. This is the best way to support the channel and help others find this video. Red Lobster was founded in 1968 by Bill Darden in Lakeland, Florida. At the time, seafood was primarily enjoyed in coastal regions, with limited access for those living inland. Darden saw an opportunity to bring high-quality seafood to the masses in a family-friendly and affordable setting. 2 years after its inception, Red Lobster was acquired by General Mills, a major food conglomerate looking to enter the restaurant business. With the financial backing of General Mills, Red Lobster expanded rapidly across the United States. By 1978, the company had grown to 236 locations, generating nearly $291 million in sales. The 1980s and early 1990s saw Red Lobster at the height of its success. The company launched its now iconic Cheddar Bay biscuits in 1992, an instant hit with customers. The brand also introduced Lobster Fest, an annual promotional event that further cemented its status as a seafood destination. During this period, Red Lobster continued expanding and refining its menu, introducing a variety of seafood dishes to appeal to a broad audience. The restaurant benefited from a growing middle class eager to dine out and experience seafood in an approachable setting. However, in 1994, Bill Darden passed away, and the following year, General Mills restructured its restaurant division, forming Darden Restaurants Inc. Red Lobster remained under Darden's umbrella for nearly 2 decades. The early 2000s saw continued success for Red Lobster, with consecutive quarters of revenue growth. However, cracks began to form in the business model as the company introduced ill-fated promotions. In 2003, Red Lobster launched its infamous Endless Snow Crab promotion for $22.99. Customers took full advantage of the deal, consuming large quantities of expensive crab legs. The company lost an estimated $3.3 million in profits and saw its stock value drop by $405.9 million in a single session. The backlash was so severe that then-President Edna Morris stepped down. To recover from the snow crab debacle, Red Lobster introduced a more affordable Endless Shrimp promotion in 2004. The campaign was well received, and provided a much-needed boost to the brand. However, operational and financial difficulties persisted. By 2008, the Great Recession took a toll on the restaurant industry, particularly affecting casual dining chains like Red Lobster. As consumers cut back on dining out, Red Lobster struggled to maintain its sales and growth trajectory. In 2014, Darden Restaurants sold Red Lobster to Golden Gate Capital for $2.1 billion. At first, this move seemed like an opportunity for Red Lobster to reinvent itself. However, financing the acquisition required selling off the chain's real estate holdings, leading to costly lease agreements that burdened the company financially. In 2016, Thai Union Group, one of Red Lobster's main shrimp suppliers, acquired a minority stake in the brand. The company aimed to cut costs and increase efficiency, but made decisions that alienated both employees and customers. Workers were expected to manage more tables per shift, leading to poor service. Additionally, menu changes were driven by cost-cutting measures rather than consumer demand, leading to dissatisfaction among loyal patrons. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Red Lobster attempted to pivot by expanding its to-go and curbside pickup options. Despite these efforts, the chain continued to struggle as the industry faced unprecedented challenges. Between 2021 and 2022, Red Lobster saw a revolving door of executives, with multiple CEOs, CFOs, and marketing officers leaving within 2 years. This leadership instability only exacerbated the company's struggles. In 2023, Red Lobster made a desperate attempt to attract customers by making its popular Endless Shrimp promotion a daily offering. Originally priced at $20, the deal backfired as inflation and rising seafood costs made it unsustainable. Despite increasing the price to $25, Red Lobster reported operating losses of over $11 million in consecutive quarters. Amid mounting losses, Thai Union announced in early 2024 that it would exit its investment in Red Lobster, stating that the company's financial demands no longer aligned with its priorities. This left Red Lobster in a vulnerable position with dwindling resources. In April 2024, reports surfaced that Red Lobster was considering filing for bankruptcy. By May, the company announced plans to close over 50 locations. On May 13, 2024, Red Lobster officially filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, citing financial and operational challenges. In its bankruptcy statement, the company assured customers that its 550 remaining restaurants would continue operating during the restructuring process. The goal is to streamline operations, reduce expenses, and seek a buyer for its assets. While Red Lobster remains operational during the bankruptcy process, its future remains uncertain. Whether it can reinvent itself and return to profitability is yet to be seen. For now, the once mighty seafood giant stands as a lesson in the perils of mismanagement, shifting consumer trends, and the challenges of sustaining success in a volatile industry. TGI Fridays is an iconic name in American casual dining. For decades, the brand has been synonymous with classic menu items like loaded potato skins and mozzarella sticks, creating fond memories for patrons across the United States and beyond. Since opening its first international location in England in 1986, TGI Fridays expanded to dozens of other countries, even becoming the first American restaurant chain of its kind to open in Moscow, Russia. Despite this rich history and global reach, the brand has struggled to maintain its former glory, leading to significant declines in recent years. In this video, we delve into the factors that contributed to TGI Fridays' decline, offering insights into the challenges faced by a once flourishing restaurant empire. We will examine the origins of the chain, its cultural impact, and the critical missteps that have brought it to its current state. Before we go on, please hit the like button and subscribe. This is the best way to support the channel and help others find this video. In 1965, TGI Fridays began as a bold experiment. Alan Stillman, a perfume salesman in Manhattan, noticed an untapped market. Bars at the time were predominantly male spaces, and Stillman recognized an opportunity to create a more welcoming environment for both men and women.
Is it fair to say you got into the business because you wanted to meet women?
Absolutely fair. Not only fair, but accurate and true. And it worked.
He borrowed $5,000 from his mother to transform a traditional bar into a lively social hotspot. The space featured brighter decor, abundant greenery, and what would become the iconic red and white striped uniforms. The concept was a resounding success. Lines formed outside the original location, inspiring imitators and establishing a new category of nightlife: the singles bar. By the early 1970s, the chain had expanded to Memphis, Tennessee, and Dallas, Texas, cementing its reputation as a trendy urban destination. However, cultural shifts in the mid-1970s posed challenges to the singles bar concept. Recognizing the need for reinvention, TGI Fridays pivoted toward a broader audience, embracing the burgeoning casual dining trend. The chain rebranded itself as a family-friendly establishment, introducing an expanded menu that included signature items like potato skins. This transition marked the beginning of TGI Fridays' golden era, as it became a staple of suburban dining culture. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, TGI Fridays thrived alongside other emerging casual dining chains like Applebee's and Chili's. The category was immensely popular, providing a more relaxed and affordable alternative to fine dining while offering higher quality and variety than fast food. TGI Fridays distinguished itself with its unique flair, both literally and figuratively. From its vibrant decor to the memorabilia adorning its walls, the brand cultivated a lively atmosphere that stood out in a crowded market. Bartenders at TGI Fridays became known for their theatrical drink-making skills, inspiring pop culture moments such as the 1988 film Cocktail. The chain even hosted World Bartender Championships and attempted to elevate bartending to an Olympic-level sport. Despite these efforts, competition intensified. New chains emerged, offering similar menus and experiences, diluting TGI Fridays' unique appeal. The market grew increasingly fragmented, and standing out became a greater challenge. A defining feature of TGI Fridays' success was its distinct identity. However, as cultural trends shifted, the brand began to lose touch with what made it special. One pivotal moment came in 1999 when the movie Office Space satirized the flair culture of casual dining establishments, poking fun at the excessive enthusiasm and quirky decor that had defined chains like TGI Fridays. While the satire was humorous, it highlighted a growing sentiment that these elements were becoming outdated. In response, TGI Fridays launched a $200 million rebranding effort in the early 2000s, aiming to modernize its image. The changes included toned-down decor, simplified uniforms, and a revamped menu. In 2013, the chain even updated its logo, removing punctuation to create a sleeker look. While these changes were praised for eliminating some of the elements that had grown stale, they also stripped away much of the brand's unique charm, leaving it to blend in with its competitors. As TGI Fridays struggled to redefine itself, a new competitor emerged: fast casual dining. Chains like Chipotle, Panera Bread, and Panda Express revolutionized the restaurant industry by combining the speed and affordability of fast food with the quality and customization of casual dining. These establishments appealed to a younger, more health-conscious demographic, offering fresh ingredients and a more modern dining experience. The fast casual trend significantly disrupted the traditional casual dining model, pulling customers away from chains like TGI Fridays. For a company already facing declining sales and market saturation, this new competition was a significant blow. While internal missteps played a major role in TGI Fridays' decline, external factors exacerbated its struggles. Economic downturns such as the Great Recession of 2008 had a devastating impact on the casual dining sector. With disposable incomes shrinking, consumers cut back on dining out, and TGI Fridays was hit particularly hard. The COVID-19 pandemic presented another existential threat. Restaurant closures and restrictions on indoor dining led to a sharp decline in sales, and TGI Fridays struggled to adapt. Unlike some competitors that successfully pivoted to delivery and takeout, TGI Fridays faced logistical and financial challenges that hindered its ability to capitalize on these opportunities. Rising operational costs, including rent, labor, and supply chain expenses, further strained the company's resources. In recent years, inflation and higher interest rates have added additional pressures, making it increasingly difficult for the brand to regain stability. TGI Fridays' financial difficulties have been well documented. The chain's U.S. footprint has dramatically decreased, with the number of locations shrinking from 600 at its peak in 2008 to less than 300 today. Attempts to revive the brand have included frequent changes in leadership, significant menu overhauls, and asset sales. In 2024, the company sold licensing rights for its grocery store products to Kraft Heinz and announced plans to sell its company-owned restaurants to franchisees to pay off mounting debt. These moves reflect a reactive strategy, focused on short-term survival rather than long-term growth. The decision to sell assets and rely heavily on franchising has limited the company's ability to control its brand and operations, further complicating its path to recovery. The story of TGI Fridays offers valuable lessons for the restaurant industry. At its core, the brand's struggles stem from a failure to adapt effectively to changing market conditions while preserving its unique identity. In a crowded and ever-evolving industry, maintaining a clear and compelling brand image is crucial. Moreover, TGI Fridays' experience underscores the importance of innovation. While the chain was a pioneer in its early years, it eventually fell behind its competitors, both in terms of menu offerings and operational efficiency. The rise of fast casual dining illustrates the need to anticipate and respond to emerging trends, rather than reacting after the fact. Finally, the brand's financial troubles highlight the dangers of over-leveraging and relying too heavily on asset sales. Sustainable growth requires a balance between expansion and financial stability, as well as a willingness to invest in the future. Despite its challenges, TGI Fridays remains a recognizable name with a loyal customer base. With the right strategy, there is potential for a revival. This would require a renewed focus on innovation, a clear definition of the brand's identity, and a commitment to meeting the needs of modern consumers. The decline of TGI Fridays serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that even the most iconic brands are not immune to failure. By learning from its missteps, the restaurant industry can better navigate the challenges of an increasingly competitive and dynamic market. Joann, a well-known national retailer specializing in fabrics and crafts, has been in business for over 80 years. Over time, it expanded to more than 800 locations across the U.S., with the exception of Hawaii. However, recent events indicate that many of these stores may soon shut down. Despite weathering economic downturns and industry shifts in the past, Joann now faces some of its toughest challenges yet. In May 2023, the company's CEO stepped down, citing a difficult year. More than a year later, the company has yet to name a permanent replacement. But the biggest shock came in March 2024 when Joann filed for bankruptcy, revealing more than $1 billion in debt. As a result, creditors took over the company, removed it from the stock market, and cut its debt nearly in half. At the time, layoffs were minimal and stores remained open, making it seem like a manageable setback. However, less than a year later, in January 2025, Joann filed for bankruptcy again. This time, store closures were officially announced, and unless a buyer steps in to keep operations running, liquidation is a real possibility. Many people have been asking what led to Joann's struggles, so let's break it down. Before we go on, please hit the like button and subscribe. This is the best way to support the channel and help others find this video. There are 5 major factors behind its decline. 1. A decline in sewing popularity. For decades, Joann has been the go-to destination for sewing supplies, generating over $1 billion in annual sales and dominating about a third of the U.S. fabric market. The company's origins trace back to the 1940s in Ohio, founded by German immigrants. Interestingly, the name Joann isn't tied to a single person. It comes from a combination of 2 founders' daughters, Joan and Jacqueline. Originally called Cleveland Fabric Shop, the company rebranded as Joann as it expanded beyond its local roots. By the 1970s, it had grown to about 170 stores, most of which were small and located inside shopping malls. However, during this time, sewing as a household activity started to decline. One major reason was the cultural shift of the 1970s when more women entered the workforce, leaving less time for sewing and home crafts. Retailers noticed the change and began scaling down or removing their sewing sections in favor of ready-made clothing. Intense industry competition. Rather than downsizing in response to falling demand, fabric stores went in the opposite direction, expanding aggressively to capture a larger share of the shrinking market. Joann and its competitors embraced the category killer trend of the 1980s, opening large freestanding stores in strip malls instead of shopping centers. They ramped up advertising, expanded distribution centers, and increased their inventory selection. By the 1990s, the market was saturated. Many companies had taken on debt to fuel expansion, but with customer demand declining, competition became cutthroat. This led to a wave of acquisitions and closures. Joann played a major role in this industry consolidation. In 1994, it acquired Cloth World for $62 million, giving it a stronger presence in the southern U.S. 4 years later, it bought House of Fabrics, one of its biggest competitors, for $100 million. By the late 1990s, Joann had solidified itself as the dominant player in the fabric retail business, rebranding all acquired locations under the Joann name. However, this shift also expanded its focus beyond fabrics to arts and crafts, putting it in direct competition with national chains like Michaels and Hobby Lobby. Third, private equity buyout complications. Following its rapid expansion in the 1990s, Joann was in a precarious financial position. The company had taken on significant debt from opening large stores and acquiring competitors. However, by the early 2000s, things were looking up. Sales surpassed $2 billion annually, and the company had successfully reduced its debt. Then in 2010, private equity firm Leonard Green and Partners acquired Joann for $1.6 billion. The deal, which involved significant leveraged debt, marked a turning point. While private equity buyouts often aim to streamline operations, they can also burden companies with financial obligations that become difficult to manage. For Joann, this meant being placed back into financial instability just as it was recovering from past struggles. Fourth, external economic pressures. Recent economic conditions have made it even harder for Joann to stay afloat. Inflation and rising interest rates have impacted consumer spending, making shoppers more price-conscious and pushing them toward cheaper alternatives. At the same time, online retailers have become a dominant force, further reducing foot traffic in physical stores. Additionally, the COVID-19 pandemic had a complex impact on the company. Initially, it led to a temporary sales boost as people stuck at home turned to sewing and crafting projects. Capitalizing on this, Joann's owners even took part of the company public again, raising over $100 million. However, once restrictions were lifted, demand plummeted, and the company's financial situation worsened. By the time of its first bankruptcy filing, Joann's stock had lost nearly all of its value. 5. Inventory and supply chain issues. On top of financial struggles, Joann has faced supply chain disruptions that have made operations even more difficult. The company's bankruptcy filing mentioned issues with inventory, citing an unexpected ramp down in production and, in some cases, a complete halt. Nearly half of Joann's inventory is sourced internationally, particularly from China, where tariffs and freight costs have been high. Making matters worse, Joann's weak financial standing has made it difficult to secure favorable terms with suppliers. Many now demand advance payments due to concerns over whether the company can meet its obligations. With limited cash on hand, Joann has struggled to maintain stock levels, leading to empty shelves and frustrated customers. What's next for Joann? Joann's situation remains uncertain. The company has already announced some store closures, and if a buyer doesn't step in, liquidation could be the next step. While the brand has managed to survive multiple crises in its 80-year history, the current challenges, ranging from industry shifts to financial instability, make a full recovery difficult. For now, customers and employees alike are left wondering what the future holds for this once iconic craft retailer.
Adobe. It's the world's leading name in creative software, powering everything from Hollywood blockbusters to your favorite YouTube videos. But beneath the surface, there's a darker story. Adobe's practices have grown so controversial that even the US government has sued them. Let's dive into why Adobe has earned the title of one of the most controversial companies today. Before we go on, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It's one of the best ways you can support the channel and help others find this video. Adobe's subscription nightmare. To understand the controversy, we first need to ask, what exactly does Adobe do? Well, they create iconic creative software, Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, and more. These programs have become staples for professionals and amateurs alike. But if we go back in time, things were very different. There was a time when you could walk into a store, buy a physical copy of Photoshop for around $700, and that was it. You owned it. If Adobe released a new version, you could upgrade for a fraction of that price, around $200. People loved Adobe, and their reputation was stellar. But then everything changed. Adobe's executives realized they could make a lot more money by switching their business model. Have you noticed how most software today is sold via subscription? Adobe was one of the pioneers of this approach. Instead of buying their Creative Suite outright, Adobe customers are now forced into a subscription model. Subscriptions seem cheap up front. People see the low monthly cost and think it's a great deal. But over time, those subscription payments add up to much more than a one-time purchase ever would. Adobe soon stopped selling perpetual licenses and made everything subscription only. Their profits soared. But Adobe also gained something else: control. With a subscription, Adobe keeps control over the software you're using, and they're not afraid to remind you who's boss. Customers started receiving letters saying their older versions of Adobe products were no longer licensed for use. If they continued using them, they might even face legal claims for copyright infringement. Why? Adobe never gave a clear explanation. The US government steps. These shady business practices have finally caught up with Adobe. Today, Adobe finds itself in hot water with the US government, but it's not for the reason you might think. It's all about Adobe's deceptive subscription practices. Here's how it works. Adobe offers an annual plan billed monthly. Sounds straightforward, right? Except many users who signed up thought they were getting a month-to-month deal. The truth? It's a yearly commitment. If you want to cancel early, Adobe hits you with a hefty cancellation fee, 50% of the remaining subscription, which can be hundreds of dollars. Adobe's fine print doesn't make this clear up front. Many users are blindsided when they try to cancel and find themselves stuck with a massive fee. And to make matters worse, Adobe doesn't allow you to simply turn off auto-renew. To escape the subscription, you have to cancel the entire plan, triggering the dreaded fee. This business model has caught the attention of the Federal Trade Commission, which is now taking legal action against Adobe. But here's the kicker. They aren't just targeting the company. They're going after individual executives. Specifically, Adobe's president and vice president of digital media are being held accountable for these deceptive practices. AI, copyright, and creative theft. As if that wasn't bad enough, Adobe is now embroiled in another controversy, one that strikes at the heart of the creative community. Like other tech giants, Adobe has jumped into the AI game, integrating AI-generated images into their stock library and training their own AI tools. But here's the problem. Adobe's AI needs vast amounts of data to learn, and that's where things get ugly. In the fine print of their Creative Cloud subscription, Adobe quietly included a clause giving them permission to access and use your content. That means any artwork, photos, or designs you store in their cloud could be analyzed by Adobe to train their AI. Worse yet, Adobe claimed a non-exclusive, royalty-free license to use and display that content. This is a nightmare scenario for creators, Imagine working on a confidential project only to find out that Adobe has access to your files and could be using them to train its AI. And if you thought this couldn't get worse, Adobe's stock library has become flooded with low-quality AI-generated images, many of which blatantly copy existing works. This situation has led to a worldwide boycott of Adobe by artists and creators. Many have even taken to uploading poisoned files to Adobe's servers, files designed to corrupt AI training data. Adobe, after receiving immense backlash, was forced to change its terms. They now claim they no longer scan or use your content without permission, but the damage has been done. Trust in Adobe has been shattered. All these controversies have tarnished Adobe's reputation. Once seen as the gold standard for creative software, Adobe is now viewed by many as a greedy corporation with unethical practices. But what's most surprising is how little Adobe seems to care about its customers. Their cancellation fees make up less than 1% of their revenue, according to Adobe. So why hold on to them? The answer is simple. Adobe's business thrives on keeping customers trapped. By making the cancellation process difficult, they can boast low churn rates to investors and keep their subscription revenue flowing. But customers aren't sitting idly by. The creative industry is starting to move away from Adobe's software. Alternatives like DaVinci Resolve for video editing and Affinity Photo for image editing are gaining popularity. Adobe may be a giant, but its reign over the creative world might finally be coming to an end. For years, Adobe has been the dominant force in creative software, but the tides are shifting. The market is correcting itself, and customers are exploring alternatives. Perhaps, finally, Adobe will have to change its ways. Whether or not that happens remains to be seen. If you want to stay updated on more deep dives and exclusive tech insights, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Until then, I'm your host, and I'll see you in the next video.